What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for a brand new Madden 26 realistic rebuild, our third of the year. If you've missed the previous two, we've rebuilt the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans with up-to-date realistic 2026 draft classes, and I'm hoping by the time we do another realistic rebuild, we will have 2027 classes, so we can do 2 years. That is kind of the end goal. I love having 2 years worth of real players. But unfortunately for this year, we are, in this rebuild, we're only going to be doing it 2026, which is still plenty good enough because we're going to do a lot of damage. Now, the Arizona Cardinals at 2-5 are kind of what we expect them to be. Jonathan Gannon, you can tell by the top right corner, we have fired Jonathan Gannon. I obviously don't like him. I don't think there's a lot of redeeming qualities there. I think for a defensive-minded head coach, his defense has been solid. But I think for how much the Cardinals have underperformed, his defense better be damn near elite for him to keep that job status and that job security the way it is. And for me, ultimately, for this rebuild, I am doing what all Cardinal fans want to see after maybe the worst regular season loss I've ever seen in my life in 20-plus years of watching football. The Cardinals, the way they lost against the Tennessee Titans was absolutely brutal. Like, Gannon, punched a running back and got a fine that I've never, the hugest fine I've ever seen on a head coach. So we are firing him. Just to start with, there's not a great short list of 2026 head coach candidates that are offensive minded. I don't think for the Cardinals, if you fire Gannon, you're going with another defensive coach. You go offense, and Cliff Kingsbury is one of the top names. He clearly won't be returning to Arizona, so I want Mike McCarthy. I think it's going to be kind of fun. I know the Cardinals playbook sucks in Madden, so we're going to bring over the Dallas Cowboys offense and defense. So I think that should potentially help us out a little bit. And I'm excited to see what Mike McCarthy do. He's probably going to walk into a head coaching gig, and I think he would look at Arizona as a kind of fresh slate to rebuild a franchise that needs some help, that has some good young players, certainly. Now, we are recording this on Wednesday. There was just a Madden title update, and it broke the start today, which is what we've been utilizing in our realistic rebuilds. That's where you do an online franchise, and you could start at week 8 with the actual records and actual stats of all the players. That's sick for a realistic rebuild. It's broken. Literally, all the games are randomized. If you do that start, all the stats are randomized, all the records are randomized. It literally makes sense. So I literally tried and made 4 different franchise modes at week 8, 7, 6, and 5. All the time, it's just random records, random stats. Incredibly frustrating. So I spent the last half hour accurately simming and making every game win-loss correct to get to week 8. Hit the like button if you appreciate that sense of realism. So the player stats, though, are going to be a little bit off. Don't hold me to it. But we are at 2-5. We fired Jonathan Gannon. Let's look at this roster and kind of set the blueprint for how we're going to rebuild this Cardinals team. So I think I got all the injuries in the right places. On the offensive side, Jace Conner is down for the year. We want him back as a potential veteran, long-term piece. We have Trey Benson, who's going to be coming off of short-term IR. He's looked solid, I guess. I don't necessarily say we have a franchise running back here, but he's certainly a guy I think will be worth developing. When we take a look at the offensive line, the good news is we have a franchise left tackle, and if you can only have one locked-in player for a rebuild on the offensive line when you started out, you want it to be your left tackle. But the bad news is we're probably going to have to replace the other 4 linemen at some point in the rebuild, and it's always kind of boring when you got to use big resources on the offensive line, but it's the most important piece to your offense. We have Trey McBride, who's one of the best young tight ends in the league, and if our passing offense from the wide receiver standpoint ain't going, Trey McBride is good enough that our entire passing offense can go through him as our number 1 receiver. But I'm not overly worried about that. You got Michael Wilson, who's solid, Zay Jones as well, but Marvin Harrison Jr. the last couple weeks in real life feels like he's kind of figured it out. He looked broken to start the year, had some brutal drops, some brutal let you down type moments, and get you worried. That's oh, great, yeah, this defensive head coach, Murph from our Practical Jokers, is going to figure out Marvin Harrison. That is why you bring someone in like a Mike McCarthy. Yes, Mike McCarthy in his time in Dallas could never really get over hump, but he could sure as shit run an offense that throws the football. So I'm thinking when we find a quarterback, kind of gives you a sneak preview of what I think about this roster. Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, we have our franchise left tackle. We fix the offensive line a little bit. Maybe we can develop Trey Benson. I think Marvin Harrison Jr., from a Madden standpoint, 6'3", X Factor, 93 speed, 93 acceleration. This guy, there's no way that this guy should suck. And we're going to make him an absolute stud along with Trey McBride. But I said if we find a quarterback, I'm out on Kyler Murray. every year, really the last 3 years, you've done Cardinals rebuilds. It's do you keep them, do you not keep them? And we've done both sides of it. I think there's an element of Mike McCarthy's off, but how many guys has he gone through? How many different coordinators? How many Cliff Kingsbury and all this stuff? And it didn't work out with Kyler Murray. I'm starting to think that there's just no salvaging him here in Arizona. Either he needs a fresh start or he's going to be like a backup, career backup at this point. There's still, like, to me, he's still the same player he was when he came out of college. There's been no real taking his game to the next level. He was a good college quarterback with elite athleticism, and in NFL, he's still a pretty good athlete, even though the injuries are starting to pile up because he's very undersized. But I think it's going to be in our best interest for this rebuild. And I say this, I have zero clue. Sometimes in my notes, I write down, like, this is a quarterback I want to draft. You know what I'm saying? No idea. I have no idea what quarterback I want, but I don't want him. Now, I think when we look at the defense, I think overall, like, this is not going to be a fire sale rebuild. Well, we are kind of making a change at quarterback. Like, I'm not throwing Josh Sweat in the trade block. I think Budda Baker's a lifer. Really, if I go back my last probably 4 or 5 Cardinals rebuilds, I've traded Budda Baker in most of them. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to keep him. He's going to ride or die. He's going to be like Max Crosby or Alvin Kamara. Regardless of the state of the team, I think he's going to be a lifer to that team, and he's still playing football at a very high level. Outside of that, like, Mac Wilson has been an incredible talent for them. Great find. He was like, a practice squad, special team type guy on the Patriots, and now I had him in my IDP fantasy league at linebacker for a little bit. Zaven Collins, Baron Browning, like there's a decent pass rush there. You get the rookie Jordan Birch from Oregon, 74 with the dev trade. We have a decent safety room. Obviously, Budda Baker is a stud, and Thompson is solid. I mean, I say decent just because, year 5 of this rebuild, where's the safety room going to be if we ride with Thompson and Baker? I don't know, but at the time being, it is certainly not an issue. In the defensive line, this is probably an area that we need a little TLC. Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson are more so rentals than not. But Walter Nolan, what a pick. He was one of my favorite players. He's probably my Eagles' top target. He's going to be returning from injury, so we're going to see what he can do. He is a 80 right now with some nice skill upgrades while he's been injured. We have the secondary is figuring itself out. Garrett Williams is returning from injury. Really nice upside nickel corner. You got Will Johnson, who many people had great as a first-round pick. Fell to the second round due to injuries, and he's been, maybe a little up and down the last couple of weeks, but generally speaking, he's been one of the best rookie corners in the NFL and looks absolutely like a long-term franchise piece for us on the defense. So for that, I am also optimistic. Johnson with Walter Nolan, keeping Budda Baker. I think this defense is going to be pretty damn good. So we're not fire sailing, but I'm moving on from Kyler Murray, and I do think there would be a market for him. I'm not going to take these straight-up trade offers because obviously it's a little unreasonable right now. But as far as like teams, I think the Browns would be interested in Kyler Murray. I think the Jets would be interested in Kyler Murray. And I think the Raiders would be interested in Kyler Murray, especially at these price points. I'm not going to go with these player trades, but I think if all these teams could bring in Kyler Murray and not give up like that first-round pick for them to still maybe make a big draft investment at a quarterback position, I think they absolutely would. So I think, what do we got, a 3rd and a 7th? I think like we kind of view the picks here. I don't think Kyler Murray would get much better than I think the Browns, because I feel like a 2nd would be maybe taking advantage of a team. I don't think Kyler Murray goes for a 2nd, but I could see Kyler Murray going for a 3rd. So I think we wiggle something out here with the Browns. Oh, that's why they threw Bitonio in. They can't afford him. Okay. Without throwing a player in, the Jets can't afford Kyler Murray either, but the Raiders can. So we're going to send Kyler Murray and a 5th-round pick to get a 3rd-round pick this year and a 3rd-round pick next year for the Vegas Raiders. So they're going to get a veteran quarterback that won't turn the football over at a league-leading rate like Geno Smith, and it just kind of lets them reset. They made a mistake on Geno. They want that veteran quarterback, still with a plan with probably that 1st-round pick this year to go get a quarterback, or next year. I know Tom Brady's probably going to want his guy, but knowing that Geno is failing miserably at being that veteran placeholder stopgap quarterback, get that here in Kyler Murray, and it's only going to cost you a couple day 2 picks. So we're going to go with Jacoby Brissett, and I think that's as big of a compliment and or shot at Kyler Murray as possible. It's like the Cardinals have looked as good with Jacoby Brissett under center as they were with Kyler Murray. So for us, all eyes go towards the draft, the realistic class. What quarterback would the Arizona Cardinals be interested in? Would they want to take a swing at like a dual threat quarterback again, or would they be kind of scared off of the Kyler Murray and want to do something different like a Mendoza or a Nussmeier or a John Mateer? In this class, we don't have Ty Simpson from Alabama. He's a quarterback that could potentially declare here in 2026. Probably, honestly, as much of a chance that he declares as Dante Moore and Lenore Sellers. And I think that's why eventually we're going to get those 2 draft classes and we'll have 2027. So that regardless if we get the year they declare right, we will have like that bubble of players that we want to see used in these rebuilds. And that, again, hopefully will be by the next realistic rebuild we do. I'd say right now, I would be leading Mendoza. Maybe it's my top target just to go with something that's not a dual threat. And I think like stylistically, like a Mendoza or maybe a Dante Moore would fit a Mike McCarthy's offense maybe a little bit better than a Lenore Sellers would. All right, so post Kyler Murray trade, 0-3. Well, I mean, if you're sucking for a quarterback, that's not the worst news. I don't know if we're winning if we kept Kyler Murray. But take a look at our team here for contracts. Salary cap wise, get the webcam out of the way. We're not in a terrible spot with $92 million. So decide who gets paid, who does not get paid. Honestly, doesn't look too brutal in terms of having to make tough decisions. I think Jalen Thompson would be like the one guy you kind of want to keep. He'd be one that, like, if there wasn't a lot of interest, I'd get it. Get away from the black hole of suck that is Arizona. But look, the interest level is there off the charts. He wants to stay here with Budda Baker in the secondary, so we'll bring him back on a 3-year deal, locking him in for the rest of his prime. So at the end of year number 1, we go 4-13, so we get a couple wins with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, but because of all the context of this season, I'm not too concerned about our team rankings. I think we'll be better going forward. Taking a look at our player stats, Jacoby Brissett was, probably what would happen if you gave Jacoby Brissett most of a season playing. 2,500 yards, 18 touchdowns to 11 picks. It's not brutal. I've had stints where the quarterbacks clearly will throw more picks than touchdowns, and that was not Jacoby Brissett, so credit to him on that. Benson, if he would have pplayed the full season, wasn't injured, maybe had a chance at 1,000 yards, but our run game was fairly non-existent. The good news is Marvin Harrison Jr. popped off. 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. We got 9-9 from Michael Wilson. Trey McBride, he's 75 catches, 873 is great, but he is kind of like Julio Jones. Remember back in the day with the Falcons, just couldn't get touchdown numbers, and that carried into this rebuild. Defensively, Mac Wilson, Budda Baker, well over 100 tackles each. We got 7.5 sacks, Josh Sweat, 7.5 from Walter Nolan in only half a season. That is really, really good production, and I'm bullish on him going forward. He's a stud. We got 5 sacks there from Zaven Collins. And on the picks front, not really that great, especially because we are using the Dallas Cowboys playbook. Generally speaking, the Cowboys playbook historically over the last couple years, even though we know there has been tweaks here in Madden, has been one of the best at getting interception numbers. Not the case here today. In the season, we have to say goodbye to an absolute legend of the game as Calais Campbell retires after 18 years. I'll say, disappointingly, 4-13. We have the 5th pick. Somehow the Saints, Dolphins, Jets, and Browns. I'm not going to say somehow. Like, I could see this being... We have a top 5 pick. Let's look at that positively, even though usually if you go 4-13, you're hoping to have a top 3 pick, especially when you need a quarterback, and the fact that the Saints, probably the Dolphins, all these guys are probably going to draft a quarterback. Our team, as far as dev traits go, no dev traits up or down on the offensive side of the ball as expected. Defensively, we have Simon, the rookie from Ohio State, gets a dev trait. Josh Sweat loses his superstar. Budda Baker loses his X Factor. That's it. So we gain a star dev on Simon, which is nice, but we lose a lot. Our start-off contracts, we're going to decline the 5th-year option on Paris Johnson. Want to get ahead of a mega contract extension, probably 5-6-year deal next year, just to lock in our franchise left tackle for the entirety of this rebuild. Salary cap's in a good spot, but I will come over this roster to make sure there's no bad contracts. Jacoby Brissett's contract's not great, but he does have that mentorship tag, so I'm going to want that for whatever quarterback, honestly, at this point, falls to us at pick 5. Bye, Dalvin Tomlinson. That is freeing up an insane amount of money. Same with Sean Murphy-Bunting. Goodbye. For free agency, it takes 2 to tango, and as I've stated in previous realistic rebuilds, we kind of adopted in our regular rebuilds because free agency is pretty boring in Madden 26, that there will come a point in time where we have so much salary cap, it's just going to make sense to, like, make a trade. Like, even if it's slightly unrealistic, I don't want to be in year 4, year 5 of a rebuild having $100 million in cap just because free agency, there's never anyone even remotely interesting to sign. Like, Rasheed Walker's the only guy that's kind of been like, And even then, that is still at 26.81 star dev. Not a crazy find. He's looking for $16 million per year. I think we could do something like that. A 3-year. Like, we'll see. Because he can come in and slide in at right tackle right away. It's one less position we have to worry about. I wouldn't hate that contract. Don't love it either. Continuing on the defense here. You know. Yeah. Pretty yikes. Unless we want, like, 1-year rentals. Which we are not going to be really in the business of doing. So, let's see if we can at least get a tackle. Currently the top bid for Rasheed Walker. And... yeah, he gone. Of course, Bengals have just so much money to throw around on the offense still. Of course they do. So then you look at the final mock drafts. Dante Moore is going pick 1 to the Cleveland Browns. Jets are not going quarterback. Dolphins are not going quarterback. Saints are not going quarterback. We are at number 5. Currently projected to go Lenore Sellers, which I very well might just pivot to... wow. Fernando Mendoza, probably. Like, I was, Dante Moore would have been sick. Not sick enough for me to want to trade what it's going to cost to overpay to get the first overall pick. But I think in this case at number 5, not, trying to get a different profile of quarterback, not the pure scrambler athlete developmental guy like they had and tried and failed with Kyler Murray. I think Fernando Mendoza makes a lot of sense at 5. That's how the draft fell. Pick number 5 out of Indiana. A man that could very well be also a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. Cal transfer as a neutral. Big fan of what Indiana. I love Coach Cignetti and what he's done there. I love his personality. And he just wins and he gets stud quarterbacks. And that is exactly what Fernando Mendoza is going to be here. And I think he's going to translate very well to the type of offense that Mike McCarthy is going to want to run as we look to completely retool and start a new era here in Arizona. Mendoza, 71 in true value at pick number 5, but all that matters, we got 94 throw power, and we got a dev trait to work with. A couple interesting names here in the second. I mean, we don't need wide receivers, but, some of the top wide receivers falling out of the first round, certainly interesting. We did just, every rebuild is individual of one another, but we did just use Keldrick Falk in our Ravens rebuild. He seems to be a common name that is falling out of the first round. But for us, in terms of needs, we need a tackle, and the tackle market has dried up. We could very well need a guard and or center. Jake Slaughter. Ernest Green at right guard could make some sense. Defensively, we're pretty good on an edge rush standpoint. We need more of a D tackle than anything. We got Caleb Banks here. Still actually a lot of value at D tackle. I think Banks, Keenan, Harris, Corleone, Zane Durant, Lee Hunter, Graves, even all the way down to Raj. I think all those guys will be valuable players. So we could maybe look elsewhere. Anthony Hill still being available in the second round. Now that's an interesting one. Same with Harold Perkins. Let's do this. I like it. I like that. He could potentially free fall here a little bit. He seems like one of those guys that had a lot of draft hype off of his season last year. It's kind of fallen off a little bit, so we'll take a swing here. Anthony Hill Jr., number 29 in true value at 37. Big-time athlete, and we get the dev trait. That's great for us. We're able to come back here in the third round and get a D tackle. Caleb Banks, great compliment to Walter Nolan, who's undersized. Banks brings prototypical size, 106 in true value at 69. Probably going to be a little bit on the lower side base rating, but we get the dev trait, which gives him a good ceiling. We also have pick 70. 2 picks back-to-back. Man, Nussmeyer, you could wait. Still find Nuss. So we need a guard. I don't think there's a lot of great value there. I think like a center. Brailsford and Logan Jones both are probably pretty good. We don't need a center because we have Hjalte Frohold, who's solid for the time being. Like, certainly not a player that we need to, like, what is Jagusa? I mean, that, again, the grades don't look particularly good there, which sucks. Well, this guy, Max Iannaccio, Arizona State, has B pass block, C run block. What's your bench press, sir? Not bad. Okay. I'm in. Please have a dev trait. 190. Oh, no. Okay, that wasn't a good pick. 4th round, again, not my draft class. CJ Baxter's one of my favorite running backs in the class. Power back. Could get value here. No, 205? Got the dev trait, which is nice, but that base rating could be below 70. So take a look at our draft recap. I feel pretty decent. I mean, we got, okay, the worst long snapper known to man. Fine. We got Brett Thorson at punter, 70 normal. That was a good value pick. DJ Campbell, 67 from Texas. CJ Baxter, 67, but we do get the dev trait, which is nice. Ianator, 68. I mean, the state of our offensive line, he could potentially start for us at right tackle. Caleb Banks, 70 with a dev trait. That's a good get. Hill, 74. That was a good value pick, even though at linebacker, I mean, the linebacker room's not too shabby, right? We got Zaven Collins, Simon, who got a dev trait. Mac Wilson, but Mac Wilson is 28, so he's pretty much at his ceiling. And Anthony Hill has more upside than any linebacker on our roster. And then obviously we have Mr. Fernando Mendoza, the future of Cardinals football. The rookie Ianacho at right tackle, the 3rd round pick. He might need to start. Arizona State kid, big fan favorite, hell of a training camp. Tell you what, not the cleanest from Mendoza. For whatever reason, the passes are all kind of short. Like we're barely making it to the target. And this is just a drill. Like the only thing that explains why it's a different is this is the broken controller fund. This is the one that's hanging on for dear life. I wonder, man, there's some sort of wear and tear on this controller that's affecting the directory of some of these throws. Because other times I just get straight bullseyes, and I'm not throwing word burners. All right, so we're at mid-season here of the Fernando Mendoza era. We're 4-4. We're 500. Got a couple wins here in a row just ahead of our bye. We also have a breakout, which don't know after the title update. Sometimes these breakouts aren't. Okay, now this one here is going to be one we got to talk about it. Because we've had in our last rebuilds just breakout scenarios where they pop up out of nowhere. And it's like you get the second option. Where it's like, oh, they've already, here's just a dev trait. No goal need to be set. Now we have Jordan Birch, who needs to get some tackles and some TFLs to get off that star dev. And we'll see right now. Keep it here live. Tough game on the road against a 2-5 Commanders team. And we'll roll into the bye week and talk about some contract extensions. We lose, unfortunately. Ooh. I mean, the good news, I would say right now, is we have a top 10 passing offense with a rookie quarterback. Our overall points per game is not brutal. Our defense is not great, but not terrible, not nearly as bad as it was a year ago. So in this L, do we at least get a superstar dev for Jordan Birch, which would be pretty sick if we did. Ooh, another, that's a great start. Another strong game for Jordan Birch. What went into that? We pushed him to make that next step, and he showed us, and that has given us a superstar edge rusher. To me, depth trains aren't the be-all, end-all, but the fact that, you know, Josh Sweat regressed and Budda Baker regressed, I think it's important that we, you know, get a little bit in the positive direction of dev traits gain with Jordan Birch. We've also found out Caleb Banks, our hidden dev D tackle, is a star dev, and on the offensive side of the ball, Fernando Mendoza is a star dev. I wouldn't say I would necessarily have the expectation that he was going to be a superstar or anything like that, but there's always a chance that that role could have happened. But we have a decent dev trade here, and as always, just because, especially now that we're dealing with rookies and stuff like that, the rookie XP is kind of overpowered, and I've stated that in realistic reloads, the kind of way to compensate the fact that, like, if, you know, Mendoza goes for 3,500 yards, he's probably going to get 20,000 XP. All these players, every single player is going, I mean, I'm only going to upgrade in the archetype, which makes it, for some positions, a slower grind. It'll take a lot more XP and a lot more investment to actually get their overall to raise up a little bit. I kind of feel like that's the middle ground of dealing with the excessive award XP. It works out. So take a look at contracts. We have Paris Johnson Jr. This is pretty much blank check territory. He doesn't want to join, so we're going to have to severely overpay, but we'll lock him in for the rest of the rebuild. We got Zaven Collins, who, yeah, I wouldn't hate a 3-year deal. Superstar dev, kind of hybrid utility player. Michael Wilson, I think he's also a very nice wide receiver too. So maybe we'll go 3-year. Nice, lock him in for the rest of his prime. Mac Wilson at, see, this is the one where it gets a little interesting because we still have Simon who got a dev trait last year. He's kind of on the outside looking in because of the Anthony Hill pick. I think that makes Mac Wilson a little more expendable. And I think that pretty much locks it in, the fact that there's no re-interest there. I think if there was like a re-up interest and I wouldn't have to overpay, I'd bring him back for, a couple years. But we would have to overpay, which I don't love. Now, Garrett Williams, this is a player I would more than willing overpay. I think he's a really, really good nickel, and we'll come back and make sure we can lock his new deal in. Prohl at center would be nice to keep as well, but at 30 years old, yes, he's 83 star dev, but that decline's going to hit pretty swiftly. And I'm actually kind of annoyed at how many players have no interest in re-signing here in Arizona and buying into the project that we're building here. I'm going to go with one final offer here on Garrett Williams. I'm 2 weeks. He's declined 2 new offers. So this is max. If he declines this, we're going to be looking elsewhere. Okay, here we go. Nice. All right, so I'm not saying, saw the record. It's going to be a stretch. It's going to be tough for us to get to 500 this year. But, we're coming off a 4-win season. Already at 6 wins is good. We got the Eagles and Chiefs coming up. That's going to be tough. Like, our rankings, our rush offense is kind of dog shit. Our points per game's not best, but our pass game's good with Mendoza. Like, I'm happy with that. Our defense overall is significantly improved from a year ago. I was like, all right, hey, we beat the Giants. Got a player of the week performance. Let me just move the webcam out of the way here for a sec. It's like, okay, well, 23 points. Probably not Fernando Mendoza was the first thing that went into my head. Click into this. 6 sacks for Walter Nolan in a game. 300-pound defensive tackle. There's one behind Derek Thomas for the most all-time in a game. Told you, Walter Nolan, he's a stud, man. He's going to be probably the best player in this rebuild when all is said and done. So here's the good and bad news. Of my approach of trying to nerf the XP that I can't really control with sliders or settings or stuff like that. We have someone like Ian Achor, who's got probably 4 upgrade points, but he's only gone up +1 because I had to make him an agile archetype. He was a power, and every single time I'd put a point into agile, his base rating wasn't getting touched. So he has, it's kind of annoying that at the end of the year, he's only a 70 overall, and he's been a rookie starting right tackle. But that very much within itself kind of nerfs the whole, if you just play players in Madden with the XP rates, you can make anybody good. This was a grind that kind of lessens that curve. But where you have the opposite side of that, where we have Fernando Mendoza, late year, 8 upgrade points. And we get that because 25,000 XP for 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns gives him another 25,000, 50 total. And there's only so much I can do because just following the same approach. I'm just going to pump all these points into field general. And, this will never get patched in this game. So we just got to find ways to deal with it. I want to put a realistic spin on things. He's a great quarterback prospect. And Mike McCarthy is a quarterback guru. As Mendoza looking like the next big thing in today's NFL, where he is. And we still, look at that. He's going to get another XP point. And we just got a +1 to his throw power, which is very difficult usually to get. But he's an 85, and he'll probably be an 86, maybe even 87 by the end of this year. At the end of year number 2, the first year of the Mendoza era, top 10 passing offense, so we're getting a little bit of that return on investment from Mike McCarthy. And I think with the state of our run game, I'm not too upset if this just is a team that's just going to run the football sparingly, and we're going to be very pass-heavy. I'll take that. I do not love, however, down the stretch, our defensive ratings that were in the teens, which I would... year 1, year 2 of a rebuild, I'd be fine with. Kind of fell off a cliff down the stretch. And fair to say that our defense is probably a big reason why we finished the year 7-10. But that's still a nice improvement over our year 1 record of 4-13. Is that Kyler? Okay, we're just gonna ignore the fact that Kyler Murray went for 5,000 yards on the Raiders. All right, we're gonna focus on what we have. 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns, 14 picks for Mendoza. Okay, what? Okay, no, let's get this out of the way. What did Kyler do? Okay, a lot more yards, similar touchdown-interception ratio. Didn't really scramble too much. So, honestly, at the end of the day, okay, it is what it is. I'm happy that we have the more upside quarterback as Kyler Murray's at his ceiling. And, good for him. Kind of bouncing back there a little bit. Running the ball, not great. Double-digit touchdowns, I suppose. We have 2,000-yard receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. Yep. Terry McBride. Yep. Cool. Pretty cool. Actually, what actually makes this really cool is I had Wilson and Marvin Harrison kind of rotating in and out of the slot a little bit. But that is Trey McBride just straight up at tight end getting 1,000 yards. So keep that in mind. And we're not even, that makes sense. Maybe we're like, oh, the Cardinals playbook. They should probably feature heavily Trey McBride. No, this is Dallas, which, I mean, I guess Jake Ferguson's kind of been a stud this year. Probably the only good pick I had in my goddamn fantasy draft. But cool that, that's realistically in the ballpark numbers for our two best receivers. Defensively, bunch of tackles over 100. Shout out to all the boys. The rookie here, Anthony Hill. On the sacks front, we got 13 sacks from Walter Nolan. He got almost half those in one game, but whatever, won't be picky. Jordan Birch, you got that superstar to have in season. That is a hell of a year, man. Huge tackle numbers. Plus 20 TFLs and 10 sacks. 9.5 from Josh Sweat. 8 from the rookie Caleb Banks. So I'm really, really happy with those sack numbers. And on the interception front, I mean, nothing insane, but all up across the board. We get Offensive Rookie of the Year going to Fernando Mendoza. Huge, because he's on that star dev trait. Banks and Hill, both within the top 5, but unfortunately not winning the award. That goes to Texas Tech's David Bailey on the Panthers. Closes other award winners, Marvin Harrison Jr. coming runner-up to Wide Receiver of the Year behind Puka Nacua. But he's already an X Factor, so that's not the end of the world. At the end of the season, let's just keep it here live. Did we get the superstar on Mendoza? Ooh, maybe not. I wouldn't say that's necessarily harsh because the XP's been on point. Oh, he did get it. Sick. And he's hopefully not the only one. So looking at our dev traits as we cleared our lockers here at the end of year number 2, Mendoza, Offensive Rookie of the Year, up to a superstar. I think maybe looking at this, kind of surprised Trey McBride going over 1,000 yards. Could not also become a superstar X Factor. Makes his second Pro Bowl. It's kind of weird. And I mean, it's kind of also do or die time at 27 years old. Anything beyond this, put the C on his chest, you're starting to worry about regression and or just becoming that much more difficult to grow and develop the player. On the defensive side of the ball, we have Jordan Birch, who hit his dev trait in season. Buda Baker, yeah, see it. Walter Nolan up to a superstar, so that is nice. Would have been even better if he would have got that on his 6-sack performance day, but okay. At least no double regression. Josh Sweat didn't lose his star, and Buda Baker didn't lose his superstar the way they regressed last year. So for us at the end of the year, we're going to decline the 5th-year option of Marvin Harrison Jr. so we can pay him next season. We are going to also decline the 5th-year option on Darius Robinson. He's probably not getting a contract extension. So for our team going forward, in terms of like where do we got to get better? Pretty much we need 2 guards. We need a center. I want to continue the development of Ian Ocho at right tackle, but if a better one comes along with a higher ceiling, a dev trait, we may need to pursue. So it's heavy on the offensive line. I think now with Baxter bumming out, that's a good enough 1-2 punch in the backfield. I feel decent enough about our wide receivers, though we could use that 3rd wide receiver, probably a speed guy, but that's likely a late draft pick. So offensive line in a big way. Defensively, I feel pretty good about our front 7. But, I mean, Josh Sweat's at the point of no return. We could look if BPA ends up being like a pass rusher, get a successor for him, but we still feel good about our safety room. Feel pretty good about the corners as well. We'll bump him up there. So we got Melton. We got Johnson. Yeah, so not a whole lot needs to be done. Let's go, unfortunately, heavy on the O-line. We'd like to get maybe a free agent or 2 so we don't have to use all of our top picks. This live. Let's get disappointed together. What do we have for free agency? 3rd wide receiver. Yeah, nothing there. Offensive line. Interior lineman. Great. Literally, it's the guys we let walk. Evan Brown, top left guard. Froholt, top center. Brutal, man. I think we're, and I'm just fed up with it. You guys, I'm ready. If next year's free agency sucks, we're going to be entering heavy into the trade market to try to get this team better. This is bullshit. Now, I did foresee this coming, so we set our focus scout to interior offensive line, which, sick. Got a bunch of blind picks that we're going to have to try to make. All right, so let's see what we can find. We'll go and take a look here at Hugh Williams, who has B in it. Ooh, that guy, he's probably pretty good. We have that center. We need 2 guards in the center. I guess all A's on Nick Gutierrez. Let me take a look. What do we got at right guard? Mark Craig, U stud, B, pass block, B, run block. Ooh, this guy way down here, Potts with the triple A's looks pretty good. But yeah, we'll just, this is not going to be a sexy draft. We got to build the trenches. What we have found, Craig is going to be a value pick, first, second round talent. We have first, second round talent on Gutierrez as a day 3 pick. And then at left guard, Hugh Williams is, we got to make sure we get him. We got to overdraft all these guys because they will not last if we decide, hey, let's just sit and wait. So let's make sure that Hugh Williams is not going here in the first round ahead of us, which would not necessarily be shocking. Okay, nice. So with Hugh Williams not as of now projected to go in the first round, I think we see if we could trade back a couple spots. Like, can we move to between like Jacksonville at 20 and maybe Dallas at 25 and get some nice value for that? Now we got 2 very interesting trades. One is the 49ers. 29 is, I think, playing with it, but they're also throwing in a second and a third round this year. But the one I think I'm the most interested in, we have Seattle offering pick 24, which is kind of that money range. We also get that additional second round pick this year. Let's do this, and let's watch probably that guy get overdrafted somehow. No. We just got a free second round pick. Let's go. Hugh Williams, come on down. Yeah, not sexy, but you know what will be sexy is probably our team stat line when we have a great interior of our offensive line. And Hugh Williams is the #1 player in the class, 99 strength guard. Please be a superstar, Dev. Then I think we followed up here. We have Mark Craig, first, second round talent on the other side. Come on down. 38 at pick 45 with a dev trait. And I'm going to get our guys. Gutierrez, first, second round at center. Don't worry about it. 28, a legit first round talent with a dev trait. Our interior has been fixed. Ooh, third round, we get a little hidden dev corner. 93 and true value at 67, so not the best there, but dev trait is there. And how I got him is he had B in his zone coverage and A tackling. I'm telling you, A tackle in your blind picking corners. It's a good tell. Now, just because I don't know if I'm ever going to give a second contract to Benson, that's BPA is this guy, I think. Tavon Bayless, B ball carrier vision, B break tackle, B carrying. There's not much left in this class. He ran a 4.4 at his pro day. Also has A trucking. This kind of like an ultimate power back. Ends up being a, let's go, pretty beast. Big beast at a Temple. So take a look at our draft recap. Hugh Williams, 80 to the #1 player in the class. And we were able to trade back. Good business right there. At our biggest position of need at guard, we got Craig, 74 with the dev trade. Gutierrez, 75 with the dev trade. Geddes, 70 with the dev trade. Bayless, 69 with the dev trade. We got Trey Sheard, the deep threat of Miami with that 95 speed, was the fastest wide receiver available. Having it as a 70 overall, but just a normal. Well, we were able to finish the class here with Kareem Maben, a zone corner out of UCLA, which sucks that he's not a scheme fit. Kind of the zone corners look the best, even though we'd rather man-to-man. But to get another dev trade DB, never hurts to have those. So as we start year number 3, it makes sense. Like, you think of like the best years Mike McCarthy had with the Dallas Cowboys. It's like you ran the football, right? Just the offensive line dominated. And I think that's something that we need to add. We need to get a little bit more out of our run game. We know we got studs. We know Mendoza, Harrison, McBride can feast. But we need the offensive line. I think with these 3 rookies, complete offense right there. There's not a single weakness on this offense. Outside of the fact that maybe we have a committee in the backfield versus, like, you know, like the Zeke Elliott and stuff like that, if we're trying to equate this to the Dallas Cowboys. But I think we're getting there. It's been a minute since we've had a Player of the Week performance, and we're on a 2-game win streak to break even after starting 0-2, and 2 quality wins over the Niners and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And there's a linebacker, Anthony Hill, with his first Player of the Week since we drafted him out of Texas. 11 tackles, a sack, forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. And we follow that up with a win over Dallas, 3 straight, and Mendoza throws for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. And off of that, we have a receiver breakout who, I mean, I don't know who this could be. Wilson? Probably. And ignore, that is my Mike McCarthy. He's figured it out. You know? A lot of plastic surgery. It's Will Shepherd. Okay. Good news is we are on a win streak. 4 straight wins. The bad news is what a waste of a opportunity here to our bench warmer wide receiver 3, Will Shepherd. But, you know, we needed a wide receiver 3 in the draft. Couldn't really find the best one. So if he could develop out of nowhere, that would be pretty cool. I think he's actually on the practice squad in real life. Oh, he was productive at Vandy, then I think went to Colorado with Coach Prime. So maybe he could develop into a guy for us, but right now, failed on his breakout. Our win streak comes to an end. We're at 4-3 now. It's a good time to look at some contracts here. Marvin Harrison Jr., pretty much blank check territory. You are everything you were supposed to be coming out of Ohio State, at least in this Madden rebuild. So for that, I am very happy. I don't think I really want to pay Trey Benson. I don't really want to pay Max Melton either. We'll see if we can get on a player friendly. If not, we have a bunch of dev trade corners behind him that I am more than capable of and willing to develop. We have Buda Baker, who I think at this point, especially with the interest, there was no interest. I'd do the Admiral thing, let him walk and go maybe potentially ring chase. But the fact that he just really wants to be a one-club player, I'll give him a 2-year deal to ensure that he can retire as an Arizona Cardinal. Robinson can bounce. Not seeing much else here, even though it pains me with the Canadian Isaiah Adams. Just not worth it at this point. And boys, we're putting it together here, man. We're on a 3-game win streak out of our bye, 8-3, and it is a second Anthony Hill Jr. Defensive Player of the Week. So the end of year number 3, finally some progress. I love the ugly draft of interior linemen, probably helping us out here a little bit. We go 10-7, and we win a pretty down year in the NFC West. That's good news. The bad news is, well, all of the linemen that we drafted weren't scheme fits, and I made a promise that we'd have to develop them as scheme fits. They're all 330 pounds, so their power, and of course, our lineman needs agile. So Greg only went up like 1 or 2 overall points the whole season, even though we had 5 or 6 upgrades. Same with Gutierrez. And the bad news, Williams, 82 out the gate. And all 4 upgrade points we got in season went to make him an agile. So he did not go up a base overall. Was drafted as an 82, but now we have him as a scheme fit. It's always going to be tough because he's 343 pounds. But the big bummer is that he's one of those like 80 linemen that's just a star dev. We know firsthand what that's like in our Raiders franchise. We drafted John Falk, top 5 talent guard, ended up being kind of a star dev, which I thought was very rare, but maybe it's more common than expected. But still, very good players. I think it played a big part in our success this season. Take a look at the stats. Mendoza was solid. 33 touchdowns, 8 picks, 4,200 yards. Our run game still is complimentary. That's why we're not going to invest in Trey Benson. It kind of feels like, if Baxter starts next year, he should be fine and put up that stat line. We have only 1,000-yard receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. At least he's continuing to dominate there. 89 catches, almost 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns. McBride was good. Kind of surprised to see Will Shepherd more productive than Michael Wilson. Don't love that, honestly, because we just paid Michael Wilson. Defensively, Anthony Hill Jr. had multiple defensive players a week. Absolute stud, 174 tackles, 7 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, and 3 picks. We got 11 sacks, Josh Sweat, 10 from Jordan Birch. Ugh. Don't love that for Walter Nolan, to be honest with you. Garrett Williams with 4 picks. There we go, finally, a contract extension that kind of aged well. He had a breakout year. Will be cool to see if that 4 picks and 88 tackles can get him off the normal dev trade. Now he's a ways off, but worth noting that Mendoza is starting to get some MVP shortlist love. Our only award winner goes to Anthony Hill Jr. for winning linebacker of the year. And our first taste of the playoffs is a very difficult matchup. We get the 11-6 Detroit Lions, but look at those ratings. 90 overall with a 91 offense and an 89 defense. The talent, they might be right there with Philadelphia for like the most talented roster in the NFC, but we're the home team. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a, I don't want to say Cinderella run every single time we make the playoffs. Our team's good, but we're going to be dogs this whole playoff stretch. Let's see how far we can go. Let's see here, year 3. Can we get a playoff win? Or are we going to be going into the final 2 years of this rebuild? A little nervous that we may have our first non-Super Bowl winning realistic rebuild, which to be 3 in to have that streak come to an end would be a little frustrating, but also, makes you appreciate when you do win because it's not automatic. But look at that, offensively, 14 points. Mendoza is coming out throwing it at home, giving him confidence. And I mean, that 90-plus rated Detroit Lions offense, only 10 points through 3 quarters. Our defense with an excellent job. But it's about how you finish. We haven't been scoring enough points here. We just, to get as lazy as we did scoring. It's been all Detroit here in the fourth quarter. And we're going to be going to overtime. Opening drive overtime. The Detroit Lions have to punt it. Any points here will win it for the Arizona Cardinals. And then we punt it. And that's brutal, man. Way too... man. It's just terrible. Second half overtime. Offense did absolutely nothing. %53% completion percentage. Mendoza. No turnovers. I suppose that's positive in a way. Run game non-existent. That's why we're never going to pay a running back. Marvin Harrison Jr. did his best to try to put the team on his back. 96 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Defensively, we did get 4 sacks. Not enough. Defense did a good job keeping us in it. Offense, just unacceptable second half. So the team, after a very disappointing end to the season, would have loved to at least get one win there. Our best football is still ahead of us. Like, we're going to go into this offseason, I think, a wide receiver 3. I think if there's a chance to maybe get a more prolific back than Trey Benson, given our salary cap situation, we have a lot. 100 million plus. That could be a move. But, like, neither one of those would be situations where I think we should trade for a player, I don't think. Unless, I mean, maybe there's a big-time wide receiver that can be a wide receiver 2 with Marvin Harrison, and then we move Wilson to the slot, which is also a possibility. Defensively, we have Anthony Hill Jr. going up dev trade. Xavier Collins is an X factor. Jordan Birch is an X factor. Darius Robinson finally gets a dev trade just as we're about to let him walk. That kind of stings a little bit. But, I mean, from a defensive side of the ball, not much that we need outside of, like, Josh Sweat and Budda Baker are getting up there in age a little bit. We don't need much. Just going to keep growing and developing as a team that still has most of our players very high ceilings. We're going to start by declining the 5th-year option on Walter Nolan, and we're going to play with fire and hope that Trey Benson doesn't end up being, like, the top free agent available, which is probably pretty likely given the first 2 years. Ooh. Okay, now, we've tried to get Jahmyr Gibbs before, and it's kind of been a non-starter. So what we're going to do is give him an offer he shouldn't be able to refuse. 7 years, 175 puts us tied. How's that still not first? Like, the last time we tried to get Jahmyr Gibbs in a rebuild was the Ravens one, I believe. Or was either Ravens or Titans. One of our first 2 realistic rebuilds. I went with an insane offer. No interest. So we'll see. Outside of that, I mean, Troy Franklin, 25.85 with a dev trade. Could he be the wide? That's not necessarily a game changer. He's more in line with Michael Wilson. It'd give us more depth at wide receiver. But again, it's another, like, all these top guys have, like, negative interest in joining us. You have Joel at tackle. I'm going to go with the hot take that I want to develop Ian Atra. Maybe if he wasn't an Arizona State guy, I wouldn't care, but I don't think right tackle's kind of been an issue for us. I think he can continue to develop there a little bit. Our pass rush is fine. Our linebacking core is fine, even with Jack Campbell there. Man, the Detroit Lions are getting decimated. Like, this is, and even this is not foolproof, because Jahmyr Gibbs still might say, "No, I'm not going to join you." And if he does join us, because I'm going to come back here again, we're going to go 20 million bonus. This is insane, but this is because we don't have to pay a quarterback contract within the 5-year rebuild here. I will go 10. The biggest contract ever handed out to a running back, because I have so much salary cap and I'm still not getting. Oh, we got him. Okay. Now, I didn't get to finish my thought there. What if what if he has 800 yards? Like, what if it's a scheme thing? We're going to find out. And just to add, kind of finish off on the signing there, we still have $104 million of salary cap. And, even if, you view this as like, okay, we have the 30th, like, this makes sense. That contract is outrageous. But when you have the 30, like, if you're looking at just our team ratings, like, what do we need to get better at to get further in the playoffs? Well, having one of the worst rushing offenses is going to suck, so Jahmyr Gibbs should solve that. And if we end up being an offense that still doesn't really run the football a lot, that running back needs to be able to be a pass catcher, a valuable pass catcher in the passing game. And Jahmyr Gibbs is as good of a pass catching back as any in the league. So for us, that kind of makes it like we're BP. I scouted edge rushers this year just because of Josh Sweat being probably the next one up to like, regression. Are we going to give him a new contract? And look, we got Dante Coleman here. He's a top 10 player, though. Of course, the only guy we get is top 10. I mean, in this next chunk of players, Ben Peoples, BC, power finesse. BC on Stanford as well. But I think wide receiver, in terms of like a starter, we need that third guy. So let's see. Does anybody, you'd love to see like an easy A catching? This guy here with the double B's. This guy looks good. Deion Burns, you'll get a little tab there. Whoa, double A's on Earl Pippen. That works out. AB here way down on Raekwon Sandridge. I mean, I guess we could take a look at speed. 6'8", and he Tony Short. All right, there we go. Wow. Okay, no, I want the. I think I found our guy. I don't even need to look at anything. I think I found our guy. So looking at the mock draft here, Burns, wide receiver, is a legit first rounder. The other one's not going in the first round? The 6'8" guy? All right. Okay. Interesting. Well, with us here at pick number 21. Now. Oh, he's also legit. Okay, yeah. Tony Short. Yeah, come on down. A catching, and you're 6'8". Number 22 in true value at pick 21. 6'8". 91 acceleration, 90 jumping, 91 speed, and a dev trait. Holy shit. In the second round, we have both the edge rushers that looked pretty interesting to me are still on the board. Stanford is not nearly the same athlete. So we're going to look at Ben Peoples here. B finesse move, C power, C tackle, second 40-yard dash, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. All those things look great. Might not have a dev trait, but I think there's going to be... I hope he has a dev trait. 10 in true value at 53. Damn. Let's see if we can get maybe a value corner here. Whoa, this guy stands out with that. B tackle, A press, B zone. Okay, that guy's probably... I also want to show you just how easy it is to find a good one. This guy here looks good too. B zone, A press. This guy here with double A's. Okay, how fast are you? Clocky's a ticking. 4.47. Okay, it's not bad. I like the pressure. Let's find who's going to be the best guy here. We got one more. Or is it down here? You. Dante Donaldson. A-Pratt. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 83 in true value, 85 dev trait. Let's go. What else? Maybe not ideal acceleration or agility, but stud. UDFA grade player. That's a layup. So take a look at our draft recap. Tony Short, 75 with the dev trade. People 69, 70 on Donaldson with a dev trade as well. A couple nice depth picks there on the offense. Need some depth at running back because we're not going to be able to afford anybody after Jahmyr Gibbs. But Tony Short, ladies and gentlemen, could be a very special player. 6'8", 217 out of South Florida. 75 dev trade, 91 speed, 91 acceleration, 84 catching, 82 catching traffic, 88 spec, 90 jumping, 88 change of direction. Man, I wish I got this guy in like the Raiders franchise or something like that. This guy's insane. And actually, it's not too usual to see a draft class in Madden 26 from a generated standpoint have no one above an 80 overall. So overall, not a crazy class on paper. So let's see what adding Jahmyr Gibbs and a 6'8" freak of nature wide receiver does for the Cardinals. Going into year 4, 10-7 last year. That needs to be our absolute floor this year. So at midseason, we are 6-3, so well on pace to at least equal last year's 10-7 record. We're a 91 rated offense, and look at the Jahmyr Gibbs effect. We have the #1 points per game, #2 passing offense, #3 rushing offense. Wish the defense was a little better. If we can get all those numbers maybe in the teens, I'd be pretty happy. But big picture right now, Mendoza is second Jahmyr Gibbs is second, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is second. On top of that, our 6'8" freak of nature. It's, you know, it could have been better. Could have been an X factor. But I will not get too greedy. A 6'8" superstar rookie wide receiver is good enough for me. But looking at our contracts here, this is where maybe the first time, like that huge contract given to Jahmyr Gibbs could come back and bite us in the ass. But what do we got? We got over 100. 115. So that's going to be enough for us to gladly play Walter Nolan. Done. 3-year deal. Want to continue. Jordan Burch, just ridiculous development, all things considered. So we'll get him on a 3-year, $45 million. We have Will Johnson. Want to keep as many homegrown players as we can. 5-year, 103. Here you go. Cody Simon. That's actually a reasonable contract. Maybe go 2.5 just for linebacker depth. I think I'd come back and maybe give him another $500,000, see if that could smooth things over. Jalen Thompson, I think we could get younger there. We've been planning on getting younger here for Josh Sweat, but if he's only looking for a 1-year rental, and we're going into year 5, you know, I'd rather have him, and then if we can find a different edge rusher, I'd be interested. So again, I think maybe $500,000 on Simon, $500,000 on Josh Sweat, and that has us going into the draft and or free agency, looking to see if we can get a little bit better and an upgrade over Jalen Thompson. So this is how you know we're for real. We just beat the Chiefs in the sim. So an extra $500,000 gets Josh Sweat's contract negotiations across the line. And an extra $500,000 gets Cody Simon's contract across the line. And as we end the year, we go at the bare minimum at 10-7. At one point, we were 9-3. We lost a lot of games down the stretch. Now, they were against good teams, playoff teams. We lost to Seattle twice, and they ended up going 13-4 and winning the division. We had a loss to, I think it was the Cowboys in there. Like, it got tough, but it very, very disappointing. To be 9-3, and I was like, all right, I think we could have got 11, 12 wins, some of that range. Just to go 10-7, like the same spot we were a year ago, is disappointing. But the good number is that. All the ratings. Yards, pass yards, points, defense got into the teens like I was looking for. Now we're going to ignore the fact that we got Philly in the first round of the playoffs, which is annoying. And let's appreciate where we're at. Mendoza, 4,300 yards, 36 touchdowns to 5 picks. A baller. Jahmyr Gibbs, that's all you got to do. Throw money at it, and you'll start running the football. 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. Beast. Short actually ends up, he's, I think I had Marvin Harrison in the slot. So Short as a rookie on the outside, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns, Marvin Harrison. Trey McBride was a beast as well. And on the defensive side of the ball, we got 13 sacks from Walter Nolan, only 6.5 from Banks. So the sacks have kind of fallen off. Yeah, that's not really worth, like, what, the $15, $16 million we gave Josh Sweat in a contract extension. Jordan Burch for an X factor, not really taking his game to the next level. Honestly, he might regress back down to a superstar. And having only 4 total interceptions of the year is pretty disappointing. Our only award winner this year, Tony Short, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. So a very slight chance we get that dev trait role, and he finishes this year as an X factor. All right, no pressure. Just going to go on the road against the best team in the NFC. No worries. I will say as an Eagle fan, since I've been a fan, the Cardinals have historically been one of those teams, regardless of how good they are, that give the Eagles problems. Like one of the worst losses of, remember the Eagles year that blew up like 2 years ago? Was we lost to the Cardinals. And it was like the year that we were like on a 10-game win streak, and then we crashed and burned and lost to the Bucs in the first round. And then when the Cardinals were good, like Larry Fitzgerald tortured us every single time we played you guys. So, yeah, I mean, look, good to start. 21-14, high-scoring game. Not a lot of defense being played. Turnover there. Cooper DeJean gets the interception on Mendoza. We settle for a field goal. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us in the ass. But with under 3 minutes to go, we have a field goal lead. Can our defense... Oh, we get a turnover! But we had to settle for a field goal. 25 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a different Cardinals team. Mike McCarthy got the boys playing. 34-28. Wasn't pretty. But a win's a win, and it is the first win of the Fernando Mendoza era. Like Ibiza? Is it Mendoza? Fernando Mendoza. Or the Dozer. Mendoza, I don't know. But, hey, not the best game. Needs to clean that up. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. I know he will. He's not a turnover-prone quarterback. Jimmy Gibbs here with 69 yards. Nice, but no touchdowns. Again, pretty much every game we pay attention to, there's a $200 million price tag to Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, actually, what do you do receiving? Ugh. Okay, not the best game. I love seeing the rookie Tony Short with 2 touchdowns. Not a lot of DBs can cover a 6'8" machine. Walter Nolan with a hat trick of sacks, plus 2 TFLs. And we get a pick there from the ageless wonder, an absolute Cardinal legend, Budda Baker. And the Cardinals are moving on. And we get to see the division round, who the best team is in the AFC West. Seattle went 13-4 on the year. The number 2 rush offense, one of the best defenses in the league. Okay. Man, if only they could use Kenneth Walker like that in real life. My fantasy football team is begging them. And I have both. I got Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. And I always play the wrong one. And then the week that I played both, they both had 5 points. I am 2-5 in fantasy right now. Shout out CeeDee Lamb missing a month. Shout out Bucky Irvin missing 2 months. Shout out Mike Evans done. Shout out Tony Oh my God, man, my team sucks. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to take up my fantasy frustrations. The Seahawks are going down. We're going to be the road dogs, baby. What a rush. That's all we got to do, baby. Let's go, baby. It's opening score. I mean, this is still Sam Darnold on the Seahawks. And I'd like to thank Fernando Mendoza and company and Jahmyr Gibbs. We got too many weapons in place. But a missed extra point is what decides this. We miss a late field goal there to end the first half. Ugh, boys, oh boys, oh boys. We haven't even gone across midfield. It feels like this whole second half. It's just not enough time. Well, year 5 Super Bowl or bust. Hey, it's been a minute since I've had to say those words. But, you know, the pressure's on. We've got to make enough moves so that we can finish the storybook, movie, happy ending of winning this in year 5. I do not want my first L being 3 freaking rebuilds in. I mean, Mendoza did not play particularly well. But you didn't turn the football over. You just can't let Sam Darnold, with the secondary, with the pieces we have in this defense, to have that kind of stat line. That's just point blank period, end of the day. And then you go and pay $200 million for Jahmyr Gibbs, and he goes 9 carries, 14 yards, and fumbles it. Yeah, that's why we lost. To close of the year, I mean, looking at our rankings, where do we get better? We got to get the secondary, I guess. Like, I'd certainly, with our salary cap, we could be in the business of making a trade. Super Bowl bust time can have us do desperate things. We lose the X factor on Marvin Harrison Jr. What? Excuse me? He was, that's very harsh. He had a good year. He had, like, at worst, I would think, like, a maintain the dev trade type year. We did gain the X factor on Trey McBride finally. But, I mean, offense doesn't need any help. I think that offense, this is probably a top 5 offense, maybe top 3 offense in the league. And then you look at the defense, we're going to let Jalen Thompson walk. So free safety is going to be a need. Budda Baker, ageless wonder, still killing it. Hill's now a superstar X factor. So we have Hill, Collins, and Simon at linebacker. Sweat and Birch as our pass rush. They need to get more production. Walter Nolan's now a superstar X factor. Caleb Banks is a stud for our D tackles. 86, 90, 82. It's like we could use, another corner, like an outside corner and a free safety. We're going to let Jalen Thompson walk. What are the odds? He's the best safety available because we could absolutely get him for 2 years, $16 million. But we're going to roll. Maybe there's, sometimes Brian Branch is there. We'll see. All right, so I would say for our team, we need corner, safety, and like edge rusher, maybe. Just because Josh Sweat's production was terrible. We got Quinn Miners, a 98 guard. No, we got Nick Bosa. Ooh, what's he looking for a year? $32 million. Get Vita Vea at D tackle. We got Brian Burns on the other side. Similar price point, but he's a star. Or they're both star depth. So both these guys have regressed considerably. At the corner, there's not much there. I mean, you could sign Dax Hill and move him back to safety if you want to. And, of course, Jalen Thompson's the best available. So I think we go Jalen Thompson here. And then, I mean, might as well try one of those pass rushers. Ryan Burns has one team interested. Nick Bosa has none. I don't want to overpay. That certainly is not overpaying. And we get Jalen. Oh, he still hasn't signed yet. Oh, he did. Okay, boom. Go to the draft. Find a corner. And we're ready to rock and roll year 5. So let's see what we have here at corner. Didn't scout them, so we're going to be, we got them. Okay, right there. A, B. We got the double B on Drayton. I mean, Hayden here, I guess, does have B. Do you have A tackle? None of them have A tackle. Okay. I mean, they don't need A tackle, but you'd like to have maybe this guy, Zach Portis. I mean, we're not going to be finding our starter way down here, but I'm just out of curiosity to trust the process. I mean, we're probably going to need one of those top 2 DBs. Let's see, mock draft 5. We got 2 corners that we really like. How far? Lindsey. All right, there we go. That's the one we need. They're actually both going 12 and 13. So, I mean, play it safe. We might even want to move up to 10. See if the Saints want to do. We'll sim obviously to pick 10 to make sure they're still there. And, I mean, we'll give 2 swings at it potentially. If the board falls this way, be it the Saints or Dolphins, let's see if they want to do business. We need him, Lindsey. All right, so we played with fire. The mock 5 went so perfect. I was like, all right, we can go to 11. It might be a little bit cheaper because it's not going to be valued as a top 10 pick. Let's make it happen. All right, we're going to start this offer. First, second, I mean, our board, I need 1 player. They also need a running back, so we have CJ Baxter as our RB2, 80 star dev on a rookie contract. Is that enough to get pick 11? Let's go. And with that, we're going to trust our scouting, needing 1 player. We need a corner. Devontae Lindsay, A-man, B-press, B-zone, B-catching, 6 feet tall. We're in a 4.3 vertical jump, second best, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. This is a very good player. I'm going to say, yeah. Well, I mean, top 5 is 4. Could have been 1 or 2. That would have been cool, but number 4 ain't bad at pick 11 for the trade-up. Dev trait, DB here. 95 acceleration, 90 agility, 96 change of direction, 93 speed. Absolutely outside corner. And I'm going to say he's probably, I'd say like 78 would be kind of as low as I'd want him to be. Now, our board did not do us any favors. The rare time, like after that pick, I just kind of favorited it up. Apshaw was like the most athletic, like it's just one of those classic, like it just didn't work out for a nose tackle. Nose tackle that has that kind of speed and acceleration. I was like, oh, that guy's a freak. Easy, just, yep, get him if he's there. No, rest of the class pretty bad. We got a Mary Fox 70 normal down here in the 7th round. But look at that. Devontae Lindsay, 80 dev trait DB. Day 1 starter. There we go. We're ready. Nick Bosa, Lindsay, bring back Thompson. Nothing is stopping us from getting to at least the Super Bowl. Winning it will be a different story. We need a little bit of luck to go our way. But there's not a better damn team in the AFC or the NFC, I don't think, this season. So let's go to year number 5. This is it. All or nothing for a Super Bowl. And maybe the bizarre thing about this is this might be our strongest team so far in our realistic rules. Like, I think I'd take this team over the Titans. I think I would. The Ravens team we had was, obviously, we started with the Ravens. Didn't have a whole lot to fix. Kind of steadied ship there a little bit. I think this team would compete with the Ravens. Like, there's an argument to be made through 3 realistic rebuilds. This is the best team on paper. And we're going into year 5, potentially staring at a big old fat L if we can't get this Super Bowl. I mean, you look at the offense, not a single weakness, but I do think my little house rule of I have to make players scheme fit certainly has affected the offensive line. Like, Greg just hasn't developed a whole lot because I had to spend all our points trying to make him agile. We drafted Williams 2 years ago as a 82. He's only an 84 in 2 seasons because I had to make him a scheme fit. So again, I think, these little house rules, especially from an XP standpoint, because I think overall, big picture in the rebuilds, what's the one thing that's kind of, for a realistic rebuild, unrealistic? So when you get, for Mendoza, 3,500 yards, you get 25,000 XP. So how you combat that is, like, there's other ways to combat it. And I think kind of leveling up and making players scheme fits or trying. Like, I still haven't even made these guys scheme fits yet. I think that's the way about approaching it. Love to get your guys' feedback below. But that's what we're kind of. But, I mean, outside of that, offensive line's on point. Trey McBride might be the best tight end in the league. Jameer Gibbs might be the best running back in the league. Marvin Harrison Jr. in the 6'8" short. Probably the best 1-2 punch in the league. And then Mendoza, 94 superstar. who needs to play his best football this year. Defensively, went out, got an absolute mercenary in Nick Bosa. Him and Birch need to be unreal for a pass rush. We got 2 more X factors in Collins and Hill at linebacker. Buda Baker, ageless wonder. We bring back Thompson. We got Johnson. We got Melton in the nickel. We got Lindsey, 82 overall, got gold medal in training. He's ready to start right away. So we have our 2 outside corners. There is not a single weakness with this team. I'd love, 2 straight 10-7 years. I'd love this team to play. Like, if you're looking and trying to say, throw a prediction for how well this is a 14-win team. Because we're staring at the face at a complete out. We're not just forgetting. Like, year 5, let's not worry about it. Because I'm going to save all these rebuilds, and the ones that I don't win a Super Bowl, I think we could have a chance to, revisit. So, yeah, we've kind of put ourselves into a little bit of a hole here because, you got to keep Mendoza, 7-year, almost $500 million. So that needs to get happen. Outside of that, our salary cap, that's Anthony Hill Jr., can't afford you. Trey McBride, can't afford you. Zaven Collins, maybe could afford you, honestly. Actually, can we? Nope, can't afford you. So if we don't win and we come back, in a couple months' time, we're going to get punched in the face with, it's pretty probably honestly like just starting up another rebuild, losing all these players and the state of our team's salary cap. But that's the risk we're playing to try to get a Super Bowl cashed in here in year 5. Now we come into our bye week. For a team that's in salary cap hell, those are the type of rankings I want to see. Now, who says money can't buy happiness? Top 5 offense, number 1 defense, even though the pass yards, rush yards aren't great. We go 14-3. And we win our 2nd NFC West title. We are the 1 seed, so we do not have to run the gauntlet. We get to kick our feet up. Looking at our player stats, Mendoza playing like a top 10 quarterback. Never, elite by any means. Certainly was close to MVP that 1 year, but he's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, foolish me assuming that Mike McCarthy Cowboys offense, you can get some of that Madden 25 Dak Prescott where he throws for 50 touchdowns every other year. But Mendoza's what? He's a 95 superstar right now, 96 superstar playing like a 99. So everything he could, from a development standpoint, ask, for a franchise quarterback. But we need him to play better in the playoffs. Has not played and has not had huge performances in the playoffs yet. And we're going to need him to do so. 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns for Jahmyr Gibbs. So, hey, at least we know in the context of Madden 26, if you have a team like what we saw with Trey Benson for a bunch of years, not even going over 1,000 yards, just go get Jahmyr Gibbs. He hits free agency I'd say probably about 50% of the time. He can solve your issues. Single-handedly, just costs $200 million. Receiving 3,000-yard receivers with Marvin Harrison Jr., 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. He's pissed off probably after losing his X Factor unjustly last year. 6'8", Tony Short, 1,000 yards. 1,000 yards for Trey McBride as well. And on the defensive side of the ball, Anthony Hill's a monster. Zaven Collins with a ridiculous stat line. 11 sacks, Nick Bosa. 10.5 from Jordan Burch. 7 from Nolan. 7 from Josh Sweat. Zaven Collins with 5. Real nice production. 4 picks. Will Johnson, his best year of the rebuild, peaking at the right time. MVP Mendoza at least climbing up the list there. Went from 7th last year to 6th this year in MVP voting. Okay. So the Rams fired McVay. He goes to the Panthers, and we're runner-up Mike McCarthy for Coach of the Year. And I'd love to think not having a single award winner, that's going to be a little extra motivation for this juggernaut squad, who actually, that's a very good Giants team. For a sim build, almost a 90 defense. And we already know they lost Brian Burns, because between him and Nick Bosa, who were going to just spend frivolously last year in free agency. 9-8 for the Giants, all offense. Number 1 offense in the NFL. And they can do it a lot of ways, but they have the worst defense in the NFL. So that's pretty much our Raiders team, or our Raiders franchise. We got to dispose of these guys and get to the NFC Championship. This can't be an L. Quickly, just to see, Lindsey, an update on our big first-round pick. Only a star dev. I'm not on like a streak of that, honestly. Draft top 5 players with not great dev traits. Kind of pissed off. The guard, top 5 was what? Number 1, star dev. This guy, number 4, star dev. All right, we're home. Our only playoff win in this review. 1 playoff win in 5 years. That is bad. But our only win came on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see, man. What can Mendoza? I just play good, dude. I've given you the keys to a Lamborghini, and I'm pretty sure you can drive it. So let's not get a speeding ticket. Let's not hit any speed bumps. You know, let's keep our old changes in check and drive this baby to a Super Bowl. There we go. 35-17. The Giants' last rated defense in terms of points allowed showed up on full display. 35-17. The Cardinals, after their first round bye, fully rested, take down. How is Aaron Glenn still a coach? We take down the New York Giants, and we are moving to the NFC Championship in a game where Mendoza was lethal. Absolutely lethal. We got Dylan Gabriel. I don't even want to know what the hell's going on over there. 85% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Love it. Jahmyr Gibbs, not crazy yards, but 2 touchdowns. Mendoza also with a rushing touchdown. Short popped off. Harrison with a touchdown. We got 2 sacks from Birch, Nolan, and Banks also getting there, as well as a Johnson and ageless wonder Buda Baker interception. Let's go. The NFC Championship game has been set. We get the 9-8 Green Bay Packers, who are like solid offensively. But Micah Parsons-led defense, top 5 in the NFL. Did they have like a player of the week or anything? No. Well, they did, actually. Defensively, Edgerrin Cooper. But Mendoza killing it. John Mateers with the Colts. Wow. Okay. Interesting landscape. Super Bowl on the line. At home. Let's put them away. Again, just make the Super Bowl. If we lose because we went to at least to a Super Bowl and lost the Super Bowl, that is a lot easier to be like, all right, wasn't our time, you know, maybe McCarthy's offense not the right offense to get us over the line. Who knows? But if we can't even make a Super Bowl with this super team that is maxed out salary cap wise, that has, you know, all of our picks have hit to a certain degree. We haven't got a generational player or anything like that. But this is a very ugly game. First touchdown goes to the Cardinals. And we are into the second half. Low score. Like another touchdown might be enough for us. Green Bay scores. And how do we only have 7 points? How do we miss the extra point? We missed an extra point. That is why we're not in the Super Bowl. And then Mendoza played like dog shit in the big. He's a fucking fraud. But there is no way, dude. Missed extra point from. It's been a very long time since I've had this unsatisfactory of an ending. But I've seen the comments. People saying, hey, C4, you know, I know with so many other rebuilds, you play till you win. I think you need the L's to appreciate the W's. And every rebuild, all 32 realistic rebuilds are going in this notebook. And the ones I'm going to put a big ol' L in a permanent marker. We'll revisit them, like at the end of the cycle. And I'm not looking forward to this one because our team is in shambles now. We were all in. This was our Super Bowl window. And now, like, when I come back, like, I don't know if I can trust Mendoza as the quarterback of the future. 2 touchdowns, no picks. It's kind of reached his ceiling from a sim standpoint. Like, he's not probably ever going to be a 40-touchdown guy. $200 million in Jahmyr Gibbs, and I don't think one playoff game he's gone over 100 yards. Like, Jordan Birch, only guy from this playoff run, and keep his head held high. Fucking embarrassing. So as we always like to do, win, lose, or draw, look at the career stats. What our players were able to accomplish within our 5 years. Mendoza, 17,000 yards passing, 136 touchdowns to 30 picks. He's been a turnover-free quarterback, but his ceiling has been like, he's like a good game man. Like, kind of like Jared Goff, I feel like is where he's at, where it's like, okay, occasional can have a big game. Can throw 4 or 5 touchdowns every now and again, but never really had a standout playoff moment. And I mean, at least Goff made it to it, you know. Goff got to a Super Bowl. Man. And, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs' regular season justified the price tag. Single-handedly saved our run game. Never showed up once in the playoffs. Robert Harris Jr. was sick, though. 7,000 yards, 70 touchdowns in 6 seasons. 6,800 yards, 25 touchdowns from McBride. Touchdowns could have been better. Michael Wilson was a good role player. Tony Short, I mean, he'd be a guy that when we come back to this rebuild, like, gonna be excited to see his career continue. The big 6'8" monster out of South Florida. Defensively, Budda Baker, 1,300 career tackles. Gonna be getting up there with like John Lynch all time for safeties. From a pass rush standpoint, 104. I mean, BOSA doesn't really count. Neither does really Josh Sweat. We got 45.5 from Walter Nolan. I will say when he had that one game of 6 sacks, I thought he was going to get ready to be like game breaking. And unfortunately, that never really came to fruition. Jordan Birchlow developed into an X factor. So if you're ever rebuilding the Cardinals, give Jordan Birch a chance. He just keeps popping off. Also, maybe take Zaven Collins and move him to Sam linebacker. That's all I did. And he just got random dev traits, maybe even unjust dev traits time and time again. Anthony Hill also was an incredible pick. Getting him in the 2nd round, he developed into an X factor for us. Interception numbers there. Probably the one area that I was a little bit disappointed with for the talent that we had in that secondary. Not a lot of turnovers. Felt like we could have had more. Well, there you have it. You know, you want realistic rebuilds. Nothing more realistic than, you know, sometimes it doesn't work. My apologies if you're one of the handful of people, the segment of people that are pissed off. Maybe Cardinal fan that just sat through an hour-long rebuild and we crashed and burned. But my promise to you is, you know, and plus there's only like a limit of how many franchise modes you can have at one time. All the else that we take, and this is not going to be the last, I will, once we're done all 32 team run through, we will go back and revisit the teams that we were unable to win a Super Bowl, and we're going to try to fix it. So, I mean, in closing, how would I fix this? Well, first of all, our salary cap is in shambles, so we're going to have to get a lot cheaper. It's be one of those things like you need to get out of Jahmyr Gibbs' contract. You know, maybe build the offense around Short, try to trade Marvin Harrison. Defensively, again, it's, you know, can't afford to keep any of these guys. Like maybe like Josh Sweat, his contract would come with the books. BOSA would retire hopefully soon. Like some of those win now players, we'd have to move on from them as fast as we possibly can and build this defense around Will Johnson, Birch, and Nolan. And that probably would happen. Like Budda Baker, BOSA, and Sweat, like if they retire, that, you know, even if it's, you know, this year would suck from our salary cap standpoint, but like say, assuming they retire between this year and next year, that would solve some of the issue. But definitely when we come back, there's going to be a little bit of a reset because of our salary cap situation. So, yeah, that'll do for me today, guys. Fuck, sorry. Cardinals are a very tough rebuild. Got them a franchise quarterback. Still couldn't do it. So, back to the drawing board, whatever that time is. So, it is your first time stopping by. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed. Please let me know in the comment section below which team you guys want to see next for a realistic rebuild. I'm hoping by the next time we do a realistic rebuild, I'll have a corresponding 2027 draft class. We'll have 2 years, which will get most of the big-name college football players that you know and love from In Real Life College or the College Football 26 football video game. I'm hoping, yeah, by the next time, because I am going to try to have another realistic rebuild out by the weekend. And until that time, we'll be back before too long with a new episode of the Raiders franchise. While we're here, I did kind of talk about in the last Raiders video a different idea, a different franchise mode that I'm thinking about. I don't know how I'm going to present it. I don't know if it's going to be a stream. I'm thinking about doing a thing called the Undraftables, where it's a franchise mode, long form, not something that's heavily sim. I want to play and develop these players where I can only get undrafted players. I feel like there's not another human being on the face of the earth that is drafting better than me right now in Madden 26. And, you know, it feels like if there's a good player, there's a good shot I can find him. How do we make it more challenging? Well, you can't draft any of these guys. You got to find the stud UDFA guys. Build a team with a bunch of, for the most part, we might get a couple lucky dev trait players UDFA, but for the most part, we're gonna have like sub 70 overall players that we have to implement. I feel like that could be a fun challenge. Could be a fun little franchise series. Love to hear you guys' thoughts and feedback on that. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya. Have a good one.